Brittany.
That's Jonathan. So today we're doing the Tuesday portion of lesson 3. So we have to read Matthew chapter 7, verse 17.
Matthew chapter 7, verse 17, and it reads, "Likewise, every good tree bears fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit."
All right, so then it tells us to read the flashlight quote for this week and reflect on the truth contained in such a pointed warning to parents. There is no greater curse upon households than to allow the youth to have their own way. When parents regard every wish of their children and indulge them in what they know is not for their God, the children soon lose all respect for their parents, all regard for the authority of God or man, and are led captive at the will of Satan. So think of a moment when your parents held you accountable or refused something you wanted that upon later reflection you realized was probably a good thing for them to do.
I go with what most kids go for, especially when they're younger, is all they want to do is cram their face full of sugar. Tooth rotten, brain melting sugar. And if kids had their choice, they'd be eating the sugariest filled cereal and candy and gum all the time. But parents tell you, nope, go eat some broccoli and brush your teeth. You're like, ugh, it's gross. Now, as a kid, I liked broccoli. Broccoli was delicious, and it is delicious. Eat your broccoli. But when you look back on it and you get older and you start to realize the effects that sugar can have on you, and maybe you have people who, they got to eat all the sugary stuff that you didn't get to eat, and you see how they may have worse teeth off than you do, or they're just a little bit more, scattered because all they eat is sugar all the time. They're not as focused in school. You start to see that you're like, ooh, maybe it's a good thing I did listen to my parents. I can actually focus. I actually have good teeth. And, life isn't that bad. Have a little bit of sugar here and there, but I'm not overdosing on it. So that's one of the examples I would give.
I'm going to go way deeper than that. So although that's a really good example, I think that doesn't pull up people's hearts. It doesn't get them to be like, oh, maybe my parents actually do know everything. So for me as a kid, yes, my parents did all that, oh, you can't have sugar, you can't have all that stuff. And I eventually was like, okay, they were right. But I just figured, they know the basics of how to not die. But then I don't even know how old I was 19. And in a really bad relationship, and I could not see how bad the relationship was from my own eyes, and my parents kept telling me over and over again that they didn't like this guy, that he wasn't good for me, and that I was making myself sick, and that I was in a bad situation. And they eventually stopped telling me because they knew I wouldn't listen. And at the end of when I eventually actually left, they did everything to get me out of that situation, to the point where they took away my car just so I would realize how stuck I felt in that relationship when I actually couldn't leave the house. And as a 19-year-old, it took me that long to realize that my parents actually have my best interest in mind and actually know better and have experiences with stuff. And I didn't...
Not just experience. Sometimes your parents can see things that you don't see because of their experiences. They may not have experienced it, but they can sense, when something's not gonna go the way you think it's going to go. Like when you say, hey, I want to do this, or I want to apply to this job, and they're just like, I highly recommend you reconsider applying to that job because you don't like manual labor. And after a week, you're going to want to cry and quit and kick and scream. Or, hey, I want to go and try this food, or I want to go to this school. I'm going to go across country. I'm going to go to this school off here. And your parents are like, okay, I can tell you're going to be right back here in a year.
That actually, so when I was looking at different universities and stuff, I did that. So I was like, I'm going to go to Mississauga and go to U of T because the campus was great and it was really cute and like country like, even though it was downtown Toronto. The Mississauga campus is actually like small and cute.
I'm not saying don't go to distant schools, just consider.
But so when I told my parents that I wanted to go to Mississauga, they were like, okay, sure. So we went and visited Mississauga, and then while we were there, my mom casually sat me at a picnic table and was like, so Brittany, you realize you can't have your cat with you when you're in a dorm room, right? And I bursted into tears and was like, I can't go to school this far away from home. What am I going to do without my cat? Your parents know you better than you know yourself. And
sometimes, most of the time.
But yeah.
Most of the time they know you and they're trying to look out for you and have your best interest. I'm not saying every parent is perfect, but I'm just saying most of the time when they say stuff like that, they're trying to get you like, just think that through. Just think it through to the end. Play the tape to the end. You love your cats. You can't bring your cats here. You here without your cats is going to be chaos for everyone and including you.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. Because you don't want to move halfway across the country or halfway across the province, state, wherever you live, and then realize this is a bad idea. I want to go home. And then you can't because you have no money and you have to wait till the next time when you can get the money to come home.
Yeah. So the next part says, do you know someone, not your parent, who models a fair and thoughtful approach to disciplining their children?
Gotta sift through the you always remember the bad ones. I was like, nah, you failed. You failed. Disciplining should be something that is, in my opinion, should be stated before the crime is committed. Okay? Just like in actual life, the laws are made up, and those who break the laws were there before they broke them. All right? The fact that you shouldn't steal, that's there's a law about that. If you steal, guess what? You broke the law. So making sure that you know and that the conditions and the laws and the rules of the household are stated and followed by everyone is something that should be stated and not made up on the fly. Because I know those who do that. Good parenting styles at work is just making sure that the rules are properly laid out and followed by everyone. And not just a spur of the moment like, oh, you did this? Well, this should happen. No, it leads to injustice.
So I think you answered the next question. You skipped ahead. So the next question was...
I'm a psychic. I read paper without looking at it.
So the next question was, what specific behaviors do you want to adopt when you have children? Because honestly, do you know someone that's not your parent that has a good parenting style? It doesn't matter how much you see someone's parenting style from the outside. You don't know what happens at home. There could be someone that's literally the best parent ever, and you've only ever seen them when their kid decided to have a tantrum that one time. Like, you can't judge someone's parenting from the outside, but you can pick and choose from what you're seeing and what you're learning to make your parenting style the best that it can be. And for me, I think that the one thing that I absolutely want to do with my kids is to make sure that they know that although I'm their parent, and yes, I'm going to discipline you, and yes, I'm going to teach you how to be the best you can be without letting you do whatever you want, I'm still your parent, and you can come talk to me about things. I'm never going to judge you or disown you. I want my kids to know that I'm open to listening and that they never need to hide anything from me.
I agree with that. And I do know some parents where it's not an option to go to church. That's one thing I agree with, is we all go to church, and that's it. And on the offhand, I know someone who came to me and my mom asking for parenting advice on how to, my son doesn't want to go to church anymore, da 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 da. My mom straight up looked at this woman and says, do you give them the option to go to school? Well, no. Well, why do you give them the option to go to church? School and church should be seen in the same value bracket. Church should be above school. Church shouldn't be seen as it's just church. It should be something that's like, that's church. School is important, not as important as, my relationship with God, and then everything else falls into that. So, yeah. Sometimes giving your kids options can work against you.
Stay in school.
Sabbath school. Stay in Sabbath school.